Hello there, Internet. Steve here again with another Unity Asset Store review. Today we are going to be looking at the SciFi Neon City by Daylonic Artworks. I've done at least one review on their stuff before. I'll be doing more in the future. I have a lot of their stuff, but yeah, we're going to be talking about this one today. At the time of recording this asset retails for $119.50. Also, at the time of recording this, there was a flash sale on it coming up in 13 days. So, so it retails for that time at the time of recording this. It supports all three rendering pipelines. I will be running this on HDRP for the sake of this review. So let's go down the criteria. As a reminder, I do pass-fail. Something in my opinion is either good enough or it is not. So quality, yeah, it passes. Especially running on HDRP, it's very pretty. There are 3 demo scenes. I do skip one of them because it's a legacy demo scene that only supported built-in, or that was made using built-in or something like that, so it's lower quality. Running at HDRP, the 2 demo scenes that I do, it looks very nice, as you'll see in a little bit. Modularity and workability, pass. It's good. There's a caveat to that in the fact that I wish there were more interior solutions, but I talk about that in more detail when we're going through the actual later parts of the video. So, support and serviceability, it passes. They have been around for a while. They've been doing Unity assets for a while, and they do respond if you have issues. I mean, and they've also updated this pack at least twice, I think, maybe more than that. So, yeah. Definitely passes. So then we get into value, the magical value criteria. So look, I've said this before, and I'll say it again. Anything over $100 is getting into the area where I expect kind of exceptionalism out of something I'm going to be slapping money down for. I'm gonna give it a pass because I do think that what's there, the quality is high and the value on that is high. However, I wish there was more. I think that the amount of exterior stuff, there's a lot of exterior stuff, and I think the amount of that is good. But like I said, I wish there was more interior stuff. There just is not a lot of interior stuff, and then there's not a lot of clutter either. I'm sure you all know how psychotic I am about clutter. There's just not enough clutter in my eyes. Like I don't understand why they wouldn't have done more. But it is what it is. I still think that it passes, but I wish there was more clutter. I wish there were more interior solutions. The only other thing about it, and I guess this may go into workability a little bit as well, but I talk about this when we get into the prefab section, but I think the organization of this asset was over organized, if that makes sense. Like I said, I talk about it in more detail later on, but essentially there's way too many subfolders. There should not be as many subfolders in the prefabs folder as there are. It's kind of ridiculous. The other thing so at the end of the video, I have a little bit of trouble finding the graffiti and stuff like that. And I did want to showcase that because I think that there's a value proposition to be had there. What I found out after I recorded that, I'm still keeping that in, but what I found out after I recorded it is that the what's it called? The advertisements and stuff like that are all AI generated, which is unfortunate because there's a lot of those. So it's an art pack, and they're using AI to generate. It is what it is. I mean, I get it. It's a 3D art pack, but still, that was a little bit of a slap in the face. Because then, if you're going to use it, if you're going to use those advertisements, then you have to slap it on your Steam page that you use AI to generate X, Y, and Z, even though you didn't actually use it. So it's an extra headache that is what it is, but I did want to point that out as well because I found that out after I had done the recording. So, anyways, that's my thoughts on it. I think that, like I said, I think the value is there. I just would have liked to see more in certain areas, but I think what is there, I do think the value reflects it, but it's just barely, if that makes sense. So, anyways, let's hop into the two demo scenes, and I will see everybody over there.
All right, and we are back. So there are 3 demo scenes in here. We're only going to run through 2 of them. One of them is I think essentially a legacy demo scene. So it's not really, in my opinion, worth. And I'm waiting here because there's going to be a car coming around the corner here, but right there. But yeah, the legacy demo scene is not really worth looking at, in my opinion. I don't think it's really it doesn't showcase it as well, especially, or it doesn't showcase the asset as well, especially running it on like HDRP as I am. So we're just going to skip that one. We're going to do a quick run through of these other 2 though that are running on a more HDRP, showcase-esque, fidelity, and then we will go into the other prefabs from there. So this is a Cyberpunk one. One of my big complaints about this, and you'll see that there is a little bit of this in the second demo series we're going to run through, but one of my biggest complaints about this is there is not a lot of interior models, which I think is an unfortunate just sort of oversight on their part. So that's where we came in. This is a very short scene, so we're not going to spend too much time in this one. But yeah, that is one thing I wish they did a little bit more of in here. But we'll talk about that when we get into some of the later folders. So we are now back right where we started. The sky on this one isn't as neat either. The one on the other demo scene is going to be a lot cooler. So we will go over to that second demo scene after this, and I will see everybody over there. All right, and we are back in the second demo scene we're going to take a look at here. This one is more of this one has a lot more lighting in it and stuff like that, so you'll see shadows and stuff like that. It has a much more busy sky, and we'll take a closer look at that in a little bit. Actually, I'll go around this way. So you can see this is just, I think out of the 3 demo scenes, this is probably the prettiest demo scene. This is just a very good looking demo scene. In my opinion. So there are a lot of things that are animated in here, or that have animated options available to them. There are I feel that they could have, so you can kind of see how a lot of these interiors are. It's just essentially faked. I feel like they did a good job of modularizing it in a way that the pieces fit together. So they could have, in my opinion at least, easily done a interior, a more robust interior set. Again, there is some interior stuff, and we'll get into that in just a little bit, but it's not as much as I would have liked for this type of asset. So in there is where the interiors are going to be. So we'll go in there in just a second. So this is where we came in from in general. No, this is not where we came in from. That's right. This is the opposite side. Oh. So there's a few different variants of stuff like this too. But again, we'll dive into that when we get into the actual demo scene itself. Seeing like some of the vehicles, can't tell if this one does or not, but some of the vehicles like those buses and stuff do have interiors, but I also don't think those interiors are really enough to you know, like actually do something in, so to speak. So for like some of this, they kind of fake the interior with exterior pieces, which is nice to know that you can do. But I still would have liked additional dedicated, you know, interior pieces. It is in general a very pretty asset, though. Like, it just looks nice, you know. Again, I am running this in HDRP, so you know, I didn't run it in built-in. It does support it, like I said, but I didn't try running it on there, just because, you know, I think the HDRP is a better option for this particular one. But the billboard, there's tons of billboard stuff, and just like in general, like very cyberpunky type, you know, stuff. Even if you're just getting it for that stuff, you know, there's some value there, I think. Go up here and get a little bit closer to the. But yeah, that is the other demo scene that we're going to go through. We will be looking at the prefabs folder next, and I will see everybody over there. All right, and we are back in the prefabs folder. So, this is the top level prefabs folder. They have this set up in, as you can see, basic, pre-made, deco or decorations, and then active, so that's going to be things like doors and stuff like that. This, to me, isn't a problem. I actually kind of like that from an organizational standpoint, but I do think that they went a little bit overboard with some of their subfolder organizations, and I'll point that out more when we get to those points. But there are some folders that are like a subfolder of a subfolder that only have one prefab in it. To me, I think that's too much, unless they plan on like really adding to this asset later on. I think that's just kind of organizational overkill at a certain point, so it becomes counterintuitive. But that's a personal beef. That is what it is. So we'll just go we'll start from left to right. So we'll go into the basics. So got building elements, building interiors, and street build. So going to the building elements, and this is where you're going to start to see they've done. So you've got basic shapes, horizontal. So actually, I'm just going to go through these because these are all pretty basic, except for a couple of them that I will point out. So these ones are a little bit different tiling, but this one is obviously like an archway. So you can use that for exterior or interior, but then we're getting into like half archways and stuff like that. Triangles, I think I'm going to just go through these ones because these ones are not uniquely shaped. I'll only turn the uniquely shaped ones. There we go. Or the ones that you can't see for that matter. Like these two. Or these three, rather. So just different shapes of the rectangle, or different sizes of rectangles and squares. I do think the naming conventions are nice. Like they tell you exactly how many Unity units, you know, it is and stuff. So that is nice. So we got the vertical. Come on, there we go. Slowly. Jeez, come on, there we go. So we're getting into the vertical stuff. Come on, there we go. Jeez. Ugh. There we go. I have to do this for every one of them, aren't I? Ugh, God, come on. You know what? I'm just gonna. I'll try to turn them, but you can kind of see what they are here. Just because turning every one of these is going to take way too long. These are literally all the same. It's just different sizing of it. So you can see. Okay, this one's different. This one's an article. Come on. So this is going to be like for the those arches that we saw before, sort of thing. So we've got more arch walls, corner wall, and this is a yeah, just a different one. So corner walls, base cuts is a different one. So this is going to be a more triangular one. And then you got a few more of the base cuts. So not going to go through each one of those and turn them individually because that would get to, again, be way too long. So building pieces, and we've got some of the doors and stuff like that. These are the permanently closed doors. I believe these ones are not. Oh, there we go. Yeah, these ones are not animated. So these are all the static ones where you're essentially faking it, right? So there's that. You can kind of see how they fake that there. That's a pretty standard trick for games that don't let you enter into every building. I think that's bad, but that's a personal opinion, I guess. I would have liked to have seen more solutions where you could actually you could actually go into the buildings and stuff like that. So you've got some of the source stuff for the actual demo scenes. I'm not going to go through those. But then we've got some of the actual special pieces. Excuse me. Some pillars and stuff like that, and different variations of the terrain bases like we saw in the previous folders. Here we go. So it's a slightly different one. There's a few different ramp options, it looks like. So this would be for like if you have like a subterranean, sewer or whatever. It's like a sewer grate for the ground. So this is one of those pieces that you could use as an interior piece. Got some actual doorway arches. You got doorway arches with the bricks on the inside. Doorway arch that goes to literally nowhere. Another doorway arch. Another one that has some cool tech shit on the inside. So I don't think, if memory serves, I don't think these are. Oh no, these are. So you could actually take the grates out of these if you want to do stuff. The problem is it doesn't really, go anywhere. But you could have a situation where if you wanted to have like hidden collectibles or something, you could like make that grate destructible or something like that. So it's nice to see that those are in fact modularized out. I just wish more of the stuff was modularized out, if I'm being, oh, damn it, I did that again. The external pieces are neat though. I mean, I will give them that. They are really really kind of cool, unique set pieces. Yeah, fake. They are just kind of neat, unique set pieces for a good cyberpunk type game. Or really any sci-fi type game. I mean, you can do high sci-fi with this sort of stuff too. Oh, damn it! Every time it keeps happening. All right. So let's go to the windows now. Unfortunately, a lot of these are going to be faked. I wish they had more. Like honestly, in a situation like this, give me the blind as a separate piece, and let me decide what I want to do with it. that sort of thing agitates me, especially for the price. Like, this isn't exactly a cheap asset, and I would have liked to have seen more modularization or more flexibility, we'll say, because it's not that they're not modularized, but the flexibility just really is not there the same way that I would like it for the price. Again, a lot of these are just faked pieces. I think a lot of these are meant to be kind of used from afar too, because so if you look at this one, I mean, if you get close, we'll do it this way. If you get anywhere close to this in like a game space, you're going to see that it's just, like, and honestly, who cares, right? Like, so I think some of these are meant to be like more of a farther away sort of situation. I do also think there's some doubling up in some of these folders, which is also why I think, this is the same. These are the same ones that were in the other one. I'm almost positive that were in the previous Windows folder. So the thing is, I don't. Are these the same? Did I? No, these are literally all the same. So if I go into building shape, oh wait, no. Oh my God, I just went into the same folder, didn't I? I'm being stupid. Oops, my bads. I do think there is still doubling up in some of them. I think as we get to some of the ones later on, we will see that, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. That was just me being a bonehead. Now, see, this is a cool curb, though. Like some of this stuff is really neat from a like design standpoint. Like I like this curb a lot. I think it's a very cool curb. Although it is listed as a roof, but yeah, I'm gonna use it as a curb personally. But that's kind of the beauty of that flexibility too. I think is you can use it for multiple things, right? So, anyways. There's roof scales, so yeah, this is more what I think of when I think of an actual roof, right? With the actual roofing and tiling on the roof and stuff. But that is cool too. It's just it's a shame that it's faked, Like I don't like it when developers do that. I think for the price you're paying for this kind of asset, I think they need to do a little better with stuff like that. Give me the option. Don't assume that you know what I want, essentially. Building interior. So this is where we're going to get into like, so some of this stuff, is just pretty basic, I'm just going to do this because these are all like the baseboards and stuff. But these I don't think, like some of these I don't think are even, like all this stuff was used in the streets, but like I pointed out in that one demo scene, they were using like one of the exterior, like fire, whatever it's called, a fire escape, staircasing, to actually get down and stuff like that. But like, I don't know. I wish they had done a little bit more. Yeah. I wish they had done just a little bit more for, supporting more interior stuff. Now, having said that, you can do stuff where it's like not, so we're just, where it's not going to be like, what's it called? So like these are more of the actual interior flooring that we saw in there. But anyways, side note. The thing is, like, you can do the sort of tricks, right? Where, you just teleport the player to a separate area, and like so even this is like an exterior. I think I don't know. Though these look more like they're supposed to be outside, but whatever. Anyways, like I was saying, you can pretty easily do the stuff where you teleport the player, right? Essentially, you have just the static quote unquote fake door like they have there, and you just have a script that you can set up as a separate scene, or you can do the trick where you have all of your interiors like below the level geometry, right? And you essentially just transport the player there. Different game engines call that different things, but you can do that relatively easily, like here. So like with this, right? So let's assume that this is the exterior of the door. This is the exterior, like the walkway up to the apartment or whatever. You could, and I should probably, before I say this, is this one of the ones that... Yeah, so the door is a separate piece. So you could slap a script on there that's just a simple transport. This one is animatable, it looks like. But you could just slap a little transport script on there that allows the player to be warped to, again, a different scene for the interior, or an entirely different area of the map that you've sort of stashed away in an area that the player wouldn't be able to find. Like I said, doing like enclosed rooms under the level geometry, like a lot of the time is how it's like the most common practice for that sort of thing. But yeah, those are options. So I was just in. Yeah, so I was just in. I just wish that there was like maybe a little bit more attention to detail put into the approach of more seamless transitions from exteriors to interiors. Let me do level streaming, right? Like let me set that up optimization wise on my end as a designer. Don't just assume, I guess. But a lot of this other stuff, I mean, even stuff like this, like, you've got actual support, beams and stuff like that. Like, there is a lot of good stuff in here. I do just wish there was just, like I said, a little bit more, so I was just in? No. A little bit more attention on the seamless transitions to interiors. These are just the same, just different colorations or different dirty or non-dirty variants of them. That's kind of a cool one too. Like these windows are see-through. I wish there were more of these. See what I mean about some of these like subfolders, though? They could have organized that a little bit better too. I do think that, like, again, some of the oops, so I was just, oh my god, excuse me, I apologize, folks. I do think that some of the modular or the organization of this could have been done a little bit more intuitively as well. I mean, now I'm one, two, three, four, five subfolders deep, right? That's a little bit extreme, especially when I'm trying to find stuff. I would prefer to just be able to see it and then just, use good naming conventions, essentially. I can't even remember. I think this is where we just were. Yeah, this is where we were. So we have to go into the street builds. See, this too. Like, just why? Just put them all in like a levels folder. You could cut out some of those. Anyways, yeah. So some of these exterior, like street sides and stuff like that, are really cool. Like I want to give full credit where credit is due, and I do think some of these are like really slick looking, and you can do some cool shit with them. All right, original, and I do get why some of this was. So they have updated this. These are just the same, just with a different, aesthetic spin. But they did update this asset with, I think actually a few updates so far. So I get that and it's also why we didn't go through like one of the demo scenes, because one of the demo scenes was a not it was like I said, like more of a legacy. But yeah, some of these they could have combined into other folders. They didn't have to subfolder them out like a OCD maniac. So you've got LODs in some of these, the optimized ones you have LODs on. That too, if you're going to do that, I mean, they could have, we'll go back to the composed ones, you could have just slapped LODs in some of these, right? But I do think that there's a little bit of redundancy in some of this stuff because of that too. All right. Like even that is a pretty cool set piece. I think this might be a combined one though from... No? Interesting. Okay. Because those pieces are available independently. So there's that stairwell. Yeah, like some of these are really creative. Like I said, it is a neat asset. Like it is a neat asset from a creativity standpoint. Basic metal, concrete. Oh. These are going to be very similar structures, just with a different aesthetic. So I'm probably just going to, I think, probably just going to, no. All of them are turned the wrong way. I was just going to blaze through them, but clearly I cannot do that. Oops. I do like that they have the different materials ready to go on some of these just as prefabs instead of having to make me swap, materials and stuff out. That does, as a level designer, make things easier. All right. All of those to basic, and we're going to go into pre-made. Yeah, see what I mean about that though. Like essential, decorative. There's no other folders in either of those. But whatever. So these are going to be more of the background things. There are no interiors on these at all. Like, let's see. So this is one of the situations where they could have like done something better, in my opinion, with that. But again, whatever. It is what it is. I suppose I could have just turned it up like that too, huh? Cool looking on the outside, but yeah, not really a whole lot going on the inside there, unfortunately. But I do think the creativity that you can do with some of this stuff is you know neat. Like you can build some unique looking structures, which I do appreciate, despite my 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 complaining there. All right, modules pre-made. I mean, these are all just like pre-combined ones for you if you need to slap something down quick. Probably, I'm going to go through every one of those. But then we got a weird-looking roof. Then this little guy here. Oop. So, oh, God damn. All right, so we got more. I'm just going to scroll through these because so you can see them quick. I'm not going to turn every one of them unless there's a really unique one to point out. But these are more like simple designs, anyways. So. All right, we get into walls, pre-made walls, which again do not have interiors. I'm gonna have to flip every one of these, aren't I? I'm gonna flip every single one of them. All of these are things that you can build, by the way, with the pieces that you have access to. They just built some for you. If you want to like rapidly prototype, that's like the one that isn't. If you want to rapidly prototype or whatever, oh, now we're starting to. Oh. All right, go to optimized. I think these are all going to be, yeah, these are all the same. So go out to deco. See, this is what I'm talking about. Like, why? Just put them all into the building deco folder. My God. Like there's literally no reason for that. They could have put them all into the building deco folder, but they didn't. So here we are. All right. Oh, that's what we're just in. So getting into like, the exhaust box for buildings and stuff like that, fans and all that. So these are more like the things as deco. They're more just level accents, right? So some piping and stuff like that. You're going through doors. I'm just gonna scroll through these guys real quick. All right. Elevator. There's a few different elevator solutions. I like this one, honestly. I believe should, I think, I don't know where you would animate this though. Maybe this you'd slide out. It's little stuff like that though, because there's not a like dictated door on there. That to me seems a little weird, but whatever. So you got some fencing and stuff like that. essentially laser fencing. You got more solid fencing. Then you've got some street bar fences, or railings essentially. So actual solid railings. Furniture. So bar stools, stuff like that. Like these to me also seem a little odd from a these seem like a polygon, like stylized polygon art, whereas like a lot of the other stuff doesn't, So that also feels a little mismatched just from a aesthetic standpoint, but whatever. Couple of variants, snacks. We got a bunch of tables. Oh, what happened? Oh, geez. That was not great. Alright. Furniture items. So we're looking at individual, eating items and stuff like that. Individual drinks and foods, and then a nasty spoon and a non-nasty spoon. Alright, some signage. Pipes, a lot of piping. You can mix and match and make your own piping, which I do like. I think that's done really well, because you can also make platforming, platforming stuff with that, custom platforming levels and stuff. So I do like seeing that. So roof decos. So this is going to be more like industrial crap, like stuff like that, right? And the landing pad, which we came out on in that last demo scene. So lots of stair and ladder options, which I do like to see. I think that's one area that this one does a really good job in, and it's an overlooked thing for a lot of different assets. This one it is not, so I think they do a good job on that one. A few sunshades, right? So a longer one and then a shorter one. And then here too, one. Why just one? Just they could have got rid of all these subfolders and just put it all into building deco. But all right, let's go into so a few different lighting sources there, and then we've got even more here. I don't know why they didn't combine these two as well. Could have easily done that. There's no need to dictate that one is a deco and one is not. We're already in a deco folder, so you don't need a sub-deco folder. That's just whatever. All right. So we're looking at scaffolding and stuff like that. So that's good. Different cable, different lengths of, as Farnsworth would say, wire. Actual junction poles and boxes and stuff like that. So it's all nice to see. You've got a few of the cars and stuff like that, like a few different variants and stuff like that. I don't think, don't believe, it's just the model itself. So then we got this stuff. Again, don't know why they separated these. They didn't have to. So you got your railway stuff. Just nice to see. I mean, again, could have been combined into like transportation, but whatever. So these are like the actual, direction markings and stuff like that. Two different sculpture variants, one with the torch and one with an actual light. Sidewalks. So a lot of different curb options. So stuff for like garden, green areas on the side of the road, which is nice to see. Then we got the sidewalk corners and stuff. So that was sidewalks, street ads. So there's a lot of this, and I actually do like the amount of stuff that they have with this. I think that this is a super valuable part of this asset. Sign letters, a lot of different neon signs and stuff like that. Again, I really like seeing this sort of thing. I think it shows a lot of foresight on their part, or a lot of ways to breathe life into your levels. If you've watched any of my other videos, you've probably heard me talk about clutter ad nauseum. You're probably sick of hearing it, but I think that those street advertisements, like I would like to see more clutter in this one, if I'm being frank, but like those street advertisements do a good job of satiating some of that. So I do like seeing that. And actually, let's look at this real quick. I don't know if this one actually has a animatable door here or not. Yeah, it does. Okay. So that's nice. So you could animate that door if you really wanted to. And then we got that was what we were just in. So we're in the furniture now. So this is like half of the clutter, and most of it isn't even clutter, which is again a little disappointing, right? I would like to see more clutter for something like this, especially if you're going for like a cyberpunk, setting, which is going to be dingy and all that shit. I think that was a missed opportunity. Then you've got these, so these are going to be just, again, the individual doors. Like some of these have, pre-made scripts on them and stuff like that. I don't, the reality is that unless you're just using this asset for your level stuff, you're going to write your own. Oh, well, there's the answer to that. You're going to write your own script for it. Yeah, so I was right. That is the door. Okay. You're going to write your own script for it. Just real talk. Like, so I think that might be a little bit of a, waste. The other thing that I'm going to point out here, because it's not in the prefabs folder for some reason, is it in source? Source? So there's graffiti somewhere in here. I don't remember. Is it in here? Like these are just the prefabs for the actual demo scenes. So yeah, it's not in there. I genuinely don't remember where that is, but there is a separate. It's got to be in here. All right, I'm actually going to pause the video while I try to find that, or stop the video recording for now so I can try to find that. But I do want to go through those graffiti pieces as well, because I think there's a healthy amount of those, and I'd be doing it a disservice if I didn't. So I'm going to pause the video, I'm going to stop the recording for now, and then I'll come back once I found those graffitis. We'll go through the graffiti, and then we'll call it call it a day on this one. So I'll see everyone shortly. All right, and we are back here. I found them. It was under the source maps section for some godforsaken reason, but there's a bunch of stuff under here that I do want to go through because I do think that it does add value to the actual asset. So these are all advertisements and stuff like that. There are a ton of really cool advertisements in here that you're probably going to end up using if you use this asset in some capacity or another. So I do want to go through them. I think it's worth it to go through them. I just don't, because again, there's quite a few of them, and I think that it would be a disservice to not go through the majority of these. So get the actual menus and stuff like that. These are all actually, so those are all actually prefabbed out. A couple of labels here, and then those are just standard numbers. The graffiti, which, but yeah, like all of this stuff adds to, flavor and a world feeling lived in. So I don't know, kind of wish they would have stuck some of this stuff in a more obvious place, but because there is a lot of it. So all right, so that's the graffiti. It's actual restaurant menus and stuff like that. Accent art, you can slap up in some of those like other prefabs or just on the wall as like a painting or whatever. Monitor screen stuff, which again, like I don't know why they didn't put this in an easier to find spot, but so it's more for like wall art, the paper script stuff. Then you're getting into the road stuff and all that. So this we looked at as prefabs, but then you've got some of these things which were not on the other ones, were not anywhere as prefabs. So different icons and stuff like that. Again, just like different things that you can slap into your level in various ways. So I do think that these should have either been prefabbed out or this should have been like it's just the. So that's it. Because I think we went through these. All right, so that's all of it. I do think this is a valuable asset, but there are complaints like I went through that I have. I do wish there had been some other things that were done differently. I think it could have added a ton of value, but I do still think that it's worth it if especially if you can get it on sale. But let me know what you guys think in the comments, and I will see everyone in the next one.